Violet here, second generation homeschooling mom of 3. I have an 8-year-old, a 5-year-old, and an infant. Today I wanted to share with you our favorite math and math adjacent board games. So let's get into it. So these are roughly in order of simplest to most difficult, roughly. And most of these are games that we liked. I do have, I think, one that we did not care for. So this first one, Tiny Polka Dot, this is preschool and under, I would say. Like my 5-year-old outgrew this a long time ago. But there's some ideas for games, a guide to the different kinds of cards, and then somewhere in here, here they are, there's a ton of different game ideas that you can play with the cards. And these are really helpful for kids learning the different numbers, there's 10 frames. These are the die faces. These are random polka dots. Here they are on a circle. And then these ones are even and odd, essentially. So it's kind of, all the games are reinforcing basic number sense. And my kids really enjoyed playing with these. I found them a little bit mind-numbing, but my kids loved them. You can see they're pretty sturdy cardboard, and so the edges are a bit beat up, but they've lasted through both of my kids, who are not particularly gentle with things. So this one we really liked, although both of my older kids have now outgrown it. Next we have Ratatat Cat. This is from Gameschooling. I like a lot of their games. This is a good game for if your kids are still learning what all their numbers are. There's a couple of different ways. This is essentially a cat-themed version of Ratatat, if you've ever played that card game. But in the simplest version, you have 4 cards in front of you, and you're trying to get the lowest number across here. And whoever has the lowest at the end of the round wins. So my kids like this one, although when they were small enough to be learning math things from this, they didn't like the uncertainty of not knowing what other people's numbers were. So we didn't actually play this one a ton, but now that they're older, they think it's really fun. Next, we have also from Gameschooling, Zeus on the Loose and Sleeping Queens. This is a counting up to 100 game. I actually printed out a hundreds chart to include with this game when my daughter was learning to count to 100, and we had a little token that would move along here to help her keep track. So that's a really fun one. It's Greek mythology themed. And then Sleeping Queens, this one you use math operations to wake up the queens and win the game. So you have to use these cards. There's pairs and stuff too, but the most basic way to play the game is you have to find cards that add up to 3 plus 5 equals 8. And if you had those 3 cards, you could discard them and get new cards. And then the special power cards help you wake up your queens. So this one's really fun. We played this one so much that we all got sick of it. We played that one a ton. This next game deals more with visual discrimination than math per se. But patterns and visual discrimination I feel like are really closely related to math, so I'm including it anyway. This is Spot It. This is the camping themed one. They have a bunch of different themed ones, but essentially there's a whole bunch of different ways to play it. My kids have destroyed the instructions, but you have your card and you're trying to find the one picture that's the same. There's one picture that's the same between each card, and you're trying to find it faster than the other person, so you can take the card, and whoever has the most or the least, you can play either way. Cards at the end wins. So that one's a lot of fun. We have several different themes of that. This one's also kind of a visual discrimination pattern matching game set. So for this one, you're trying to find there's a bunch of different characteristics that the cards have. And so you're trying to find sets of 3 that either have, each characteristic is either all the same on the cards or all different. So this one's definitely really good for seeing patterns and kind of training that part of your brain. This next game you can play as pairs or, well, it says 1 to 6 players, but I think it's kind of slow if you start to get more than 2 people playing. Or you can play by yourself, but basically you're rolling the dice and then you're using whatever numbers you roll to try to shut different shutters, and if you can get them all closed, you win. So I really like this. This one's a double shut the box, but there's single ones, there's ones in a square for 4 players, a bunch of different variations, but it's all just working on basic addition and subtraction. This next game is one that I think is fun as a game, but I do not think it teaches the math that it says it does. This is Clumsy Thief Jr. So theoretically, this one is teaching your kid to add to 10, but the numbers that make up 10 match. So my kids don't ever add the numbers to 10. They just look for matches, and then they know when they're stacking them, they have to alternate numbers. So is this a fun game to play? Yes. Does it teach my kids to add to 10? No. So kind of a fail as a math game, but we have kept it because we like playing the actual game part of it. It's pretty fast paced. This next game is kind of more math adjacent than mathy. This is Dragonwood. And so you have different powers and then number cards, and you're trying to capture various monsters, which are somewhere. So you have to figure out, this one's kind of working more on really basic probability than strictly, you do have to add and subtract when you're rolling the dice, but the dice have 1, 2, 3, they have 2 2s, 2 3s, 1 1, and 1 4. So you have to figure out based on the number of dice you can roll whether you think you can get the number on the card, monster card you're trying to capture, essentially. This one is a little long, I will say, for me. I take out more cards than they recommend when I play with my kids because I just feel like it takes a long time. But it is fun. We do enjoy this one. This next one is also kind of math adjacent in that you use math in the scoring. So this is King Domino, and it's sort of like a cross between Dominoes and like a Settlers of Catan kind of deal, just in that it's a tile laying game. So you're trying to build kingdoms, and the number of crowns, you multiply the plots you have by the number of crowns, and that gives you your scoring essentially. So it's very basic multiplication when you're doing the scoring of this game. But this game is really fun. We like this one a lot. And then Sushi Go Party. This one also has some light multiplication. You don't have to use this board that it comes with, but it makes it easier to keep everything organized. There's a this is like the deluxe edition, I guess. Sushi Go Party, it has more card choices. Sushi Go has fewer, but it's the same game mechanic where you're passing cards. You choose one card each time, and you're trying to amass points. So some of the point cards require you to do some multiplication. I am trying to find one. But there's one that's like if you get 3 of them, then you multiply your score by 3 or things like that. Just very simple multiplication. It's not the point of the game, but it is part of the game. You do have to do it every turn essentially. So this one's a lot of fun too. This is probably one of the ones that we pull out the most just because we all really like it. All right. This one's also kind of math adjacent in that it's more like logical thinking, but this Mastermind, this is a travel version. They make bigger versions too. This one's kind of a bit fiddly, but essentially you have a code maker who makes the code here, and then the person on the other side is trying to break the code. So they'll guess things, and the code maker puts in pegs. There's you get nothing if you didn't get it right. I think it's a white peg if it's in the right color but in the wrong spot, and a red peg if it's the right color in the right spot, but they don't tell you which ones are which, so you have to figure it out. So this one's really fun. We play this one a lot, and we all take turns being the code maker and the code breaker. I would spring for the full-size one if you can. I bought this at the thrift store. I actually got most of these games at the thrift store with a couple of them were gifts, but yeah, most of them are thrift store purchases, so you kind of just get what you get at the thrift store. I always check to make sure it has all the pieces, but I don't worry about it too much beyond that. This next one is a basic coding game, Robot Turtles. I will say this one is very tedious to play as a grown-up because your job as the grown-up is to move the turtles. This is like an expansion pack. And if yours doesn't come with this expansion pack, try to find it on eBay because this does make it more fun. I think the newer editions of this game just come with it. But you're trying to move your little robot around on the board. Here's the board. Pretty basic. Using these function cards that tell your turtle what to do. And so the adult's job is to be the turtle mover and to make it fun and silly, and I just kind of find that excruciating. So my husband mostly played this with the kids, and now that my daughter is older, she actually likes being the code master or whatever, the turtle mover. I forget what it's called, but the person who's in charge of moving everything around. And that's good because otherwise this game probably would have disappeared because I just cannot sustain that level of enthusiasm for this long. I just find this game really tedious to play as a grown-up. But I do think that it really does introduce basic coding concepts in a way that's fun and easy for preschoolers. So I do like this game. I just didn't enjoy playing it as a grown-up. My husband didn't mind it, and now that my kids can play it with each other, it's great. And then the last math game that I have for you today is probably the mathiest of the math games. My kids love this game. There's a little poster that comes with it. So each number kind of shows you what that number is made up of. So red numbers are prime, and then you can see here's the color coding. So there's 2 2s go into 4, and 1 5 goes into 5, and 35 is a 7 and a 5. So that is really cool. My kids love that. And this is kind of like, almost like Sorry, but at least for my family, with a lot fewer tiers. My kids always cry when they play Sorry. It's not something they can deal with. But there's cards that move you around the board. You can knock people off, but it doesn't happen as much, or at least it's not as devastating as when it happens in Sorry, so my kids don't tend to mind. Got some dice, and then you have 2 pieces. So you're trying to use math to move your 2 pieces all the way to the center. And based on what you roll, you can do different operations to move you a different number of spaces, and you kind of have to figure out what's the most optimal. So my kids love this game. I will say, if your kids are not big fans of math, this game is not going to make them like math. Like, I think your kids, in order to enjoy this game, probably already have to have at least a neutral relationship with math. If they have a bad relationship with math, I don't think they're going to enjoy this game. But my kids love math and they love this game. So this one has been a hit for us. I think it's fun to play too. And like I said, a lot fewer tiers than when we play Sorry, but kind of similar game mechanics. So that is all the math games I have to share with you today. Let me know down in the comments below what your family's favorite math games are. I'm always looking for new ones. I hope you found this helpful. I will link everything in the description box below. I am an Amazon affiliate, so if you click on an Amazon link and make a purchase, I will receive a small commission. Thank you for watching.